One of the most unique Musou titles is surely Dynasty Warriors 4. What makes it so unique is surely the Chinese-like atmosphere, since it's the first Musou title to introduce the Chinese instruments in their soundtrack that matches perfectly with the stage design, making this title very enjoyable for beginners and veterans of the Musou genre. For a PS2, Xbox title, and later on ported on PC, the graphic is surely good looking for both cutscene and in-game, making the gaming experience more enjoyable. Therefore, Dynasty Warriors 4 might be a good start for your Musou journey. In this review, I will be referring to the other two Musou titles in this series which were released on PS2 as well, which are Dynasty Warriors 2 and Dynasty Warriors 3. A lot of people who have heard of Dynasty Warriors 4 have heard of Dynasty Warriors 3. So, what's the difference and why should you pick Dynasty Warriors 4? I will be going into details on parts of the games. Dynasty Warriors 4 is a bit easier compared to the previous titles, especially Dynasty Warriors 3. Dynasty Warriors 3 might not be a good start if you're not fully confident, since the game can extremely be hard, especially with the Xtreme Legends expansion and the nightmares that lives in the game called Archers, Lubu and Gunning. Those are only few of the strong challenge that awaits you in Dynasty Warriors 3. However, Dynasty Warriors 4, although it can be hard, its difficulty still remain pretty balanced, making it a game enjoyable by both beginners and veterans. The first impression when you start to play Dynasty Warriors is surely the story mode, since it's the very first thing the game expects you to do, and what you naturally want to do. This time, Dynasty Warriors 4 will introduce you to a new, whole-complete, redesigned story mode. It's not going to be with single-character story like Dynasty Warriors 2 and 3, but instead will introduce a faction-based story that is focused entirely on the faction instead of certain character, like the previous title, giving a total new impression to the player who have already experienced the hell of going through every single character in both 2 and 3. Introducing the faction story was a good start, yes, if not for the fact that the Three Kingdoms stories are very repetitive. Three Kingdoms stories, I mean Shu, Wei and Wu, obviously. Thank God they added the others, for example, Lubu, Donjo, Yonshao, Namman, etc. Faction stories, obviously, they are so much better, in my opinion, of course. Not just faction stories, but also tale stages. Tales are special battles, one of a kind, if you could say so. They're probably the most unique stages in the entire story mode. If you get bored of the same battles, which you will, then you might as well try to unlock the tale stages. But you will unlock them all if you add the Xtreme Legends expansions. Also, the story mode will always be the same, no matter the character you play as. So, what makes it so fun to play with different characters? Surely the cutscene, of course! You can trigger different and sometimes unique cutscenes, making you want to hear every single dialogue. Playing Shu, Wei and Wu stories will naturally get boring after a bit. As I mentioned, the story will always be the same, but with a new addition of the others faction are Donjo, Lubu, Yonshao, Yellow Turban and Namman. I also want to add something else about the others faction is, you can play this in vanilla Dynasty Warriors 4. You do not need an Xtreme Legend expansion to play their stories, because in Dynasty Warriors 3, the others character stories were only available in 3 Xtreme Legends, but this time, it's amazing the fact that they've literally introduced them in the vanilla version, their own stories. So yeah, trust me, all this is super fun to play. They are the most unique part of the story mode. They do not have tale stages, attention, they don't have the tales stages. And their stories are not as long as the Three Kingdoms factions. However, the fun surely is not missing any of these. They have unique stories and sometimes unique stages. Story mode is bad if played with Shu, Wei and Wu, but if played with others faction, you will feel more active and will surely look forward to play a lot more in story mode. Xtreme Legends is an expansion of Dynasty Warriors 4, bringing you new content. It brings back the single character based stories, however, it is very limited, since it only contains one stage per character. This stage is meant to live up to the most famous battle that made the Dynasty Warriors characters known for. A few examples are Sun Shang escaping with Liu Bei, Zhong Liao during Wu's art at Efei, and Zhong is dead in the novel, where he gets shot by many arrows. And talking about arrows, how about Sima Yi on the valley, where he literally gets wrecked by Zhuge Liang's fire attack full of arches. Sima Yi almost died over there, so yeah, the legend mode does really a good job to represent those historical battles that are basically the most important for these characters. These stories are still based on the previous maps from Vanilla. However, they're redesigned to match the character story. Some of them are fictional, like Yao Chen, who has to hide in the dark and slay Donjo, or Ma Chao that has to duel with the other 5 Tiger Generals. A good but wasted potential if you want my honest opinion, since these stories are way too short but really good. A new mode is also introduced called Xtreme Mode. It's a mode where you keep doing endless battles and you have to buy meat buns, which means health. Comes for a price, you won't be able to find any meat buns on the stages, save for some rare extreme locations. This stage will get difficult every time you complete one, making you think about spending your gold and select your stages wisely. At the end of the stage, you'll get the chance to stock up at the Battle Merchant, which it can be your best friend. If you abuse him correctly, buying health is cheap first, but the more you buy, the more it will come up in a price. So think before you decide to buy health. You can also buy troops to add to your army and bodyguards that comes in the forms of Musou officers. This is my first favorite mode of the entire game, and I could play non-stop. The only flaw is you cannot get level 10 or level 11 weapons, because they will be very useful for a mode like this. You can also make your own kingdom. This shows us that Koei had already some Empire's vibes in their mind while creating this. All we do is conquer our own base, and every time we visit it, we can have cheap things and good stuff at the merchant, which is a cute lady NPC this time. This create your own kingdom thing got some potential, but it seems it's just there so there could be a bit more of variety. It's still fun though, and it can make extreme mode really exciting for you to play. You can jump on extreme mode every time you want. It's totally disconnected by the main game. All your progress in story mode will not affect extreme and vice versa. You know, they might as well just made like a new game called Xtreme, and that's it, because it totally has nothing to do with the main story. So you can play this anytime you want. Just careful not to get too addicted, cause there's really no end. What makes a Dynasty Warriors game enjoyable is none other than the gameplay, of course. Every Dynasty Warriors games always lack variety. However, Dynasty Warriors 4 introduces the grab and orb attacks and changes every character's charge 1. What are charge 1? For those who don't know, it's the move you press with triangle. This is like a refreshing spring breeze, since Dynasty Warriors 2 and 3 add lame charge 1 attacks. The purpose for the grab attacks is very simple: grab an enemy and throw him away with brutal strength. Combined with the power of a powerful orb such as lightning, the most interesting thing is the orb's attacks, of course. Strategy type characters are the ones who can use it, and trust me, they will reveal to be very useful. By the way, what do I mean by strategy types? I mean those characters that are supposed to be strategists: Lumong, Lushun, Zhou, Zhuge Liang, Pang Tong, etc. And what I mean about strength characters: strength characters are those who are supposed to look like to be very strong, to focus only on strength. Sun Quan, yes, Sun Quan does have it, don't ask me why. Sun Ce, Zhang Fei, no, Guan Yu doesn't have it. Not all strength characters does have it, but most of those who will focus only on brute strength, basically, like Yang Wei, Shuju, etc. Also, using those charge attacks will be completely useless if used without an orb, so do not expect to do much damage if you don't equip a good orb at least. Another mechanic introduced is the taunts. You can use them by pressing the R3 button. stones literally do the job of Dynasty Warriors 3's Charge 1, which are the ones to break the enemy's defense. This time, you are able to perform jump charges, attention jump charges, X plus triangle. Unlike previous titles, enemies will spam it non-stop. They will literally spam the jump charge non-stop in Dynasty Warriors 4 if you put the game on a very hard difficulty like expert or even hard. It's going to increase your stress level really badly, so that is another thing you need to take into consideration while you play on hard difficulty stages. The level weapon system is really unique since Dynasty Warriors 4 is the one to introduce it. It's pretty simple. Defeat an enemy officer to gather experience for your weapon. The harder the difficulty you're playing on, the more experience you'll get. Following good combos against officers will also give you extra experience. So the game gives you a good reason to do combos, just like Dynasty Warriors 3 used to do with items. The more combo you done in Dynasty Warriors 3, the better items you will get. Personally, the level up system was a great idea. Farming for weapons can be seriously a pain, while leveling up is more enjoyable. Dynasty Warriors is grindy enough, maybe way too grindy, so removing a weapons pickup was really a nice idea. Still, there's one fatal flaw about the leveling up system. You cannot reset to the specific level. What do I mean about that? Like, it's really bad. You can reset the weapons, however, you're forced to bring them back to the original level. Oh yes, for the first time Dynasty Warriors introduced edit mode, the ability to make your own character. However, since it's the first time Koei imported this kind of thing, it's extremely limited. The base model is always the same for male and female. However, you can customize your armor, and even that is very limited. What makes it worse is that after you have created a character, you cannot customize his or her armor. To do so, you have two options: delete him or her, or make a new character, and you only got 4 slots, which are not enough, especially if you aim to get the edit character's red weapons. And that is not all. Weapons are also limited: sword, spear and pike. Then there are Fushi and Nuvas, which are 2 characters introduced in Dynasty Warriors 3. They're very special characters, and Fushi got a big sword and Nuva got a rapier and a shield. So Fushi male and Nuva is female. And the weapons are gender lock, Fushi and Nuva's weapons. However, with 4 slots, it's enough to make characters based on family members, friends or even pet. Because let's be honest, for those who are old as me, you probably understand what I'm talking about. Even to Koei barely offer anything on edit mode. It was just a test for them to see how it could have been evolved and if it would have been appreciated by the fans. Well, nowadays making your original character is a popular thing, and some people even demand character customization in every single game or they won't play it. Still, we cannot deny that edit mode from Dynasty Warriors 4 became a pioneer, a guinea pig of the future of edit mode. Regardless, it's still super fun. Despite how limited it is, it surely brings lots of joy to finally be able to explore the 3 Kingdoms world with your own character, your own story. Now, up to the conclusion for this review. So, Dynasty Warriors 4 will always remain my favorite of the series. Even years later, I'm finding unique cutscenes, its unique level stages and character design, edit mode and the hardcore expert difficulty that has been introduced in Xtreme Legends. You know, those are what makes a Musou game enjoyable. Even when I was able to unlock the Dynasty Warriors 3 outfit, I felt a sense of completion, and unfortunately this is not something you're able to feel anymore in new Dynasty Warriors games, since they have removed unlockable outfits and from previous titles, but instead shit and overpriced costumes for certain characters only. Those were the things that made me want to play the game over and over again without getting tired of it. Grinding games can surely be boring, but Dynasty Warriors 4 really makes you feel accomplished no matter what you do. Thanks again for following this review, guys, I really appreciate it. Make sure you give a like, a comment, and also maybe consider becoming a member of my channel where you can access exclusive perks. Also, make sure you share this review with all your friends, and I'll see you guys to the next video. See you soon, take care.